Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Going Rounds podcast. Back again on a Thursday, ready to talk some MMA, some UFC, combat sports. Now, who am I kidding? This is going to be MMA, UFC heavy this week because we have UFC 298 happening on Saturday. So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty hyped. This is going to be a stacked fucking card. No way around it. I mean, you know, sometimes the stack cards don't follow through with great fights, but the way this card is put together, the way the main card is put together, oof, it's a great jump off point for the next few UFC pay-per-views because, you know, 299 is even more stacked, almost more stacked than 300. And then 300 is, you know, that that I guess mirage in the in the distance that it's like you're seeing what you want, but is it really going to be there when you get there? I don't know, because they still haven't announced the main event and all that, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. I do want to go over a little bit of stuff when it comes down to UFC 300, but I just watched the press conference for UFC 298, and I mean, it was rather entertaining. I usually I miss a lot of them because a lot of times they happen at times where I'm just doing something else, but there's a lot of times where they come on always on Thursdays, and a lot of times it's right before I'm jumping in here, so I get to have that fresh in my head. But Henry Cejudo, anytime he's a part of a press conference, I'm like, fuck, I don't even know if I want to watch this, because the self-proclaimed king of cringe is just that, the king of cringe, and it's usually so cringy that I can't even handle it. But this time I just watched it because I was like, well, it is what it is. And yeah, it was pretty entertaining because for the most part, Henry Cejudo kept his fucking mouth shut. So that was good. But Ilya Topuria decided to take the reins of King of Cringe and I don't know. I'm watching myself like turn around in the video, but I was turning on my GoPro. I forgot I was gonna have on. But anyway, Ilya Topuria, I don't know what his deal is, but he's been on a rampage of talking shit. Just like it's almost delusional. So I mean, everybody was booing him when it came to the press conference, and he's telling everybody to shut the fuck up. I mean, like, English is his second language. He has a real thick accent. You know, I don't really know where to say he's from because he represents Spain, but he was born somewhere else, and then he grew up in Georgia, as in like the Russian Georgia or somewhere near Russia, something like that. Wherever the fuck Georgia is, the country of Georgia, not the state. So, but then he reps like Spain because that's where his roots are and his parents or ancestors. I don't fucking even know. I can't keep up. But anyway, he has a real thick, basically like Spanish accent, and he just it's tough, man. He's trying so hard to get out there and talk a lot of shit and make it sound legit, but you know, his promotional stuff online, like any of the videos he's made and stuff like that, like when the fight got announced, that promo video he made, that was pretty dope. And he's got this whole thing with the roses because his nickname is El Matador. So, you know, usually with Matadors, they got the red cape thing, you know, like traditionally. And then when everything's over and they've, you know, killed the bull or whatever, they always lay a rose down. Well, he's done that because he's undefeated in the UFC, undefeated overall. And he has this rose thing going on where he pulls out the rose and it's like, yeah, I just, you know, killed my opponent, whatever, even though he really didn't, but he beat him. So you got it. You know what I mean? But that, so he's got that, and, you know, all of that was fine, cool, whatever, you know, he's different. He's out there doing his own thing. That's cool. But now he's out here telling people to retire. You know, he's like, oh, Max Holloway, Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, you might as well retire. Because when I get the belt, you're not going to have a chance to fight. I'm not fighting any of you. You're too old. You've had your chance. It's over. Retire. It's like, dude, What the fuck? You're talking to the elite of the elite in that division and fucking in MMA overall. So you need to check yourself. You might be undefeated, but your strength of schedule is not really there, especially when you look at the kind of schedule that these guys have had. I need a drink before I start coughing. Or I just cough first. I'm not sick, and I don't think I'm getting sick, but I've had some weird shit going on with my throat. And, you know, if you know me, I vape. I have for a long time. But I pretty much haven't since I was real sick of weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it was. So I kind of quit that, so I can't even say it's that. Sometimes I'd be like, you know, vaping too much lately. My throat's feeling funky. But it's been feeling that way, so I don't know what the deal is, but it's getting on my nerves. Got to kill it with some alcohol. Anyway, I feel fine otherwise. So, but yeah, Ilya, he's going around saying this shit. He went and changed his Instagram bio, saying he was 15-0 and that he's the featherweight champ of the UFC, like he already won. And it's like, man, you want to talk about looking past someone. If you're that confident, you damn sure better come out and win. And you better not just win by decision or barely win. You better come out and win in a fucking tremendous way. Because if you don't, you're going to look like a fucking fool. I understand confidence. I understand being confident, showing that you're confident. But he's just being foolish. And I know some people out there that are big Topuria fans. And I mean, I like the dude too. And I was like, damn, this guy's really making a name for himself. Now he's just making a fool of himself. And I fucking hate to say that because he's a great fighter. He's shown a lot. He's 14-0 overall, undefeated in the UFC. You know, I don't know. Mom says allergies. I don't know. I don't usually have allergies that bother my throat, but maybe. Hopefully it goes away soon. But yeah, Ilya, I don't know what his deal is. So we'll see because he's out there calling Volkanovski old, saying saying he's washed up just because he lost to Makhachev twice, but he went up in weight. He took the last one on short notice. He admittedly didn't train like he should. So just a lot of things happening there. But Volkanovski is still undefeated in the division, still the champ right now. And his last showing in the featherweight division was fucking spectacular. So when it comes down to it, Topuria's got a lot to prove. And, yeah, we'll get more into that when I start the preview of that one. But because this happened in the press conference, I had to kind of touch on that for a minute. And the other thing is Ian Gary. Ian Gary got booed. Like, booed more than Topuria, booed more than anybody. And he was getting cheered on and everything. But with all the personal shit that's been out there, all the shit that he's talked, the way he's handled himself, I mean, all that shit is kind of sucks that he has to deal with all of it. But in the end, he's a cocky bastard too. So, but he is Irish, and that's, you know, he's got that McGregor type, you know, mentality and stuff. So when it comes down to it, I guess I can understand why people are booing him. But, you know, everyone's talking shit about him. So maybe they just don't like the way he's handling it. Maybe they just think that his wife is everything everyone's saying she is. I don't know. But he got booed to shit. He didn't really have a whole lot to say, you know. And, yeah, he's fighting Jeff Neal, who he made a T-shirt of with Jeff Neal's mugshot on it after he got a DUI. Well, so that was pretty fucked up. And then they never even wound up fighting. So, yeah, that's this should be interesting. Not a whole lot of back and forth going on between him and Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal just doesn't seem to want to partake. So it is what it is. We'll see how that fight goes. It should be interesting, but we'll touch on that more when I get there. But yeah, that was the press conference. Topuria stole the belt for a second. You know, Volkanovski got up. Volkanovski was dressed like an old man. He did this whole video where he was like an old man sitting in a rocking chair. He had his glasses on down his nose, like an old man hat, a sweater. He's in some khakis, looking like just like, and he pulled it off because he did look like an little old man. in that video. So he decided to come out dressed that way at the press conference too. I was laughing. Oh man, because he didn't give it up either. He just kept talking about, well, this old man is gonna go out there and just try his best. When Topuria said, get up, let's see what are you gonna do? And Topuria gets up and kind of like lunges at him a little bit, and Volk gets up holding onto his chair. He's like acting like he needs his cane. It was fucking funny actually, because Volk doesn't really do stuff like that when it comes down to fight time. So I'm hoping that the playful kind of manner that he's in means he's focused and he's showing that he's not worried really, because he's just fucking around, like in a funny way though, not in a don't give a shit about this fight type way. So that was cool. That was kind of funny and entertaining. But yeah, not a bad press conference. Not the best, obviously, but the crowd was hyped. They were pumped. Merab talking shit to Henry Cejudo, and everyone was on Merab's side. Everyone was cheering to shit with him. So that was cool because I like Merab. And his social media presence has been like really high lately, and his content's been pretty fire. So if you haven't seen it, go check out his TikTok and his Instagram. His videos have been fucking funny. So yeah, check that out too. But yep, that's it for the 298 press conference. It just happened. It came on a little after 6 o'clock. It lasted till about 6:30. Yeah, check it out. To follow UFC on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and they go live everywhere. TikTok, everywhere. Anytime they do any of these press conferences or anything, you'll know it's happening because they put it out there. So, but yeah, besides that, for me personally, and besides the whole little throat issue that I have going on, this week has been kind of a shit show at work. It is what it is. I don't know what the fuck is going on this week, but it's a weird week. A lot of issues, a lot of back and forth, a lot of driving. Out of town slightly. It's only like less than 2 hours away, but still a lot of driving back and forth, and a lot of issues and problems happening this week. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what's going on. Something there. But good news, I got Monday off next week, so that's cool. It's my mom's birthday that day, so happy early birthday, Mom. But yeah, so I have Monday off, so that's cool. And it's a weird President's Day. Why the fuck do I have President's Day off? That's strange. We don't ever have other holidays off that other people usually. I don't get it. It's a fucking weird thing. But I'm not going to complain. I'll take it. But I do have to go out of town for work next week, like fully out of town. So I'll be doing, as of right now, it looks like I'll probably be doing the podcast from a stupid hotel room. But it's whatever. I'm used to it. But yeah, that's about it for me. We got a lot to talk about here, so I'm going to go ahead and get right into combat sports news. And we're going to start with some Sean Strickland news, because if you saw the thumbnail, like I said, Sean Strickland is fucking everywhere. And this past couple weeks, he's been everywhere, and he's just doing a lot, man. Doing a lot. He... To begin with, he sparred a guy named Sneako, who is a influencer, a social media influencer. He's tried his hand at like celebrity boxing, I think, and he's like wrapped up in the game, trying to maybe follow in Jake Paul's footsteps or something. I don't fucking know, but he's been around. And if you're in any of the TikTok circles or anything like that, I'm sure you've seen him. I think he was like a streamer or gamer at some point in time, or still is. I don't fucking know. He just popped up out of nowhere, and for me. So yeah, so I guess for some reason he decided to go spar Sean Strickland, the former middleweight champion of the UFC, who just lost his belt not long ago and beat one of the best middleweights ever in Israel Adesanya by boxing. And Sneako decides, I'm gonna go spar with fucking Sean Strickland. I don't know. That's a dumbass idea if you ask me. And if you look at the picture, you can see Sean Strickland is a savage, and he didn't hold back. But here's the thing. You know what? Let's watch the video, because I went ahead and grabbed the video So let's watch that. Here it is. A little bit extended from what a lot of people were seeing online. You know, Sean's giving him a chance, telling him, you know, give me some body shots. Sneako sneaks in some headshots there to the chin, but you know, it's sparring, so you know, he's going light. I don't know how much harder Sneako could actually like hit, but I don't know, he's moving around, whatever. But Sean Strickland decides he's basically done with it about here. Bam! And he just starts wailing on him. Now that was a damn good like right cross to his face and landed on the chin. You see them throwing in the towel right there. They threw in the towel like 2 or 3 times, and Sean just kept going. There's another towel throw. This is happening at the UFC PI, by the way, and that's Forrest Griffin right there who grabs. Look, another towel throw in. That's Forrest Griffin that grabs Sean. Now, if you listen to the audio of this, I didn't want to capture the audio because it's easier that way, but the audio, you saw him walk over to Sneako after the fact, and he actually tells him, hey, you didn't go down. Like, you didn't go down. That's good for you. You did good. And Sneako's like out of it. You know, he's probably half concussed or fully concussed. And they're like hyping him up because he didn't go down. He took the shots, whatever. But damn, he got his ass whooped. So that's that, you know, whatever. Everyone's like talking about it and whatnot. Jake Paul took it upon himself to go ahead and write some shit on social media like he does. And, you know, I'm not sure that I really agreed with the way Sean Strickland did this, but it is what it is. You want to step in there, you might get fucked up, and that's the thing. So to start with, Jake Paul says, Sean Strickland, you're embarrassing for trying to stop Sneako like that. You weren't even able to drop someone with no experience while going all out. You're a horrid boxer that only picks on inexperienced people. I'll fly you to PR, Puerto Rico, that's where Jake Paul lives, and we can fight on camera. If you win, I'll give you $1 million, half of your net worth. But if you get dropped, you have to get better tattooed on you, which is Jake Paul's betting site. And then he says, DM me, but just like Patty, I'm guessing you'll find a way to run. Then he says, I hate bullies. I was bullied and then was the bully sometimes in my YouTuber days, but now all my energy is focused on boxing bullies and helping the youth. But when I see someone like Strickland constantly bullying people, it's time to bully back. Sean Strickland, of course, had something to say. So he responds with, you lost to a part-time boxer, LMAO. Don't forget that. Real talk, jokes aside, Jake Paul is an utter fucking joke. You box small, retired, old MMA fighters, and you sell sugar water to kids. If it were legal, I'd take your fucking life with a smile on my face. Is there any place on earth I can make this man's life? I can take this man's life and walk. And then he continues, actually, Jake, I'll make you a better deal because money can't buy happiness and you have plenty of it. You're still a cunt. No cameras, me and you in the desert. That would buy my happiness. No Instagram, no likes, no games, just you. That's what I want. Jake Paul responds, thanks for admitting I would make easy work of you in the boxing ring and ducking the offer, just like Patty. Now I will let you continue your meltdown. Well, Sean Strickland continued. So he said, I wish we can go back to the days where shit people would just die. Our founding fathers would have murdered him long ago legally. Instead, you have to listen to them talk on Twitter across the country. Jake Paul says, constantly talking about killing people, calling them scumbags or wishing them to die because they don't agree with your opinion reeks of insecurity, not of being a confident man. Be better, buddy. And he spells better the way that they spell it for his website. And then he makes his banner on his X profile, the picture of Sean Strickland knocked out when Alex Pereira knocked him out. So damn, shots fired? Yeah, long time ago, obviously, with this. But in conclusion, Sean Strickland says, I want to conclude this. I want you all to understand the phenomenon that is Jake. You're a professional troll. You fight retired small MMA fighters because you're a troll. But the worst part of it all is that you're a cancer. You inspire people to accomplish nothing, to be nothing. You inspire people to be trolls because you were successful at it. Jake Paul, you might be rich, but you're not a man. You're a byproduct of society that has fallen. Your trolls will rally around you and be inspired to be like you. But understand one thing, you and your troll army are not my equals. Enjoy your virtual world with the understanding that you're a cancer on this country. Money will never buy you dignity. Enjoy. I mean, shit. Sometimes Sean Strickland at least articulates himself well, and he he really puts it out there, and he says what he means. I don't agree with everything he says because, like Jake Paul said, he's always talking about wanting to kill somebody. He goes on podcasts and talks about the fact that one day he wants to kill somebody. He said he would be, at one point in time, he said he'd be happy if he was the first person to kill someone in the octagon. So it's like, you know, of course you're going to get backlash for shit like that. It's a lot, man. It's a lot. And it's just to continuously wish death on people for small things that are petty. I understand he's upset and annoyed with the whole internet troll thing with the Jake Paul influencer shit. I get it. But, I mean, wishing death on someone for such a simple reason, it just seems dumb. But that's Sean Strickland's way. He did it to Bryce Hall, I think his name is, another influencer who's been fighting as well. He actually like put out there something of, I was gonna capture all this too, but it's so much. I was like, I'll just mention it. He's like, name a time and place, we'll go to the desert, I'll have no problem burying you, I'll suffer whatever consequences that may come. Because he's like, that would make me happy, nothing would make me happier. It's like, dude. And then he's like asking everyone, hey, in what state could I get away with this? Does anybody know? It's like, what the fuck, man? Your childhood trauma, bro, is just, it reeks right now, and it's showing. You need to get some help for that shit, because a lot of us say, I'd love to kill that motherfucker, or something like that. I'm just saying, that's what a lot of people feel and think sometimes. But to go on rants, continue, I mean, if something were to ever happen to these people, and it's a mystery, guess who might be suspect number one? A lot of people make death threats towards Jake Paul and people of that manner, but you're outright right here just saying that that's what you want to do. It's crazy. But that's Sean Strickland. Hate him or love him. A lot of people love him for it. A lot of people hate him for it. I'm indifferent. I've seen different sides of him. I hated him. I don't absolutely hate him that anymore, but when he does shit like this, I do. So, I don't know what else to say. But the Sean Strickland shit show continues, because he also got into an altercation with MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, if you know who he is. So they both were at the slap fight that happened this past week. And shit, I don't even know what caused it. I never even found out what caused it. But Sean Strickland says, I almost hit a vampire tonight, LOL. They said his name is Machine Gun Kelly. How do you have a dope ass name and dress like a 13 goth South Park character? He continues, man, I just found out about Megan. The fuck has happened since Transformers? I'm done. Good night. Fuck. I'm done. It just keeps going. You guys, what the fuck is going on? Transformers, Megan Fox is with that thing. What the actual fuck has happened to this world? What did I miss? Is she okay? Is this man the devil? Megan Fox, are you okay? Do you need assistance? So there was a post. Someone posted, UFC champ takes jab at Megan Fox for decision to be in relationship with weirdo vampire man. And then he's like, doing the Lord's work. And then he posted a picture of Megan Fox in the iconic scene from Transformers that everyone fell in love with her with. And then the goth character from South Park that looks like Machine Gun Kelly. I gotta give him that one. That shit is funny. That's fucking on point. Oh man, that was great. But yeah, the last thing he said was, someone said, be careful, MGK doesn't like it when you make fun of Megan. What does that even mean? Do I need to glue wood chips and hollow points? Do I need to carry a crossbow? Buy a wooden stake? Is this how I become the new Blade? So see, I mean, when he's like being funny about it like that, it's entertaining. I can deal with it. It's funny. But you know, the shit with Jake Paul, like that was a lot. That was a lot. And I don't think it's ever gonna stop. So that's the Sean Strickland drama fest, shit show, carnival, freak show act that happened this past week. Oh man, but you know, it's combat sports news. That's all I got to say. So it is what it is. I wanted to cover that because it was a lot. And Sean Strickland, like I said, he's everywhere and he's doing too much. He's not the champ anymore. If he was, would he be doing this? Yeah, because that's Sean Strickland. And you know, Dana's already said I'm not telling these guys to shut up or telling them what they can and can't say. Freedom of speech. Do what you're gonna do. Problem with that is back in the day they used to have to do something about it. I don't know if they were forced to by whatever entities told them to or whatever, but people got released for homophobic slurs and things being said of that nature. People have gotten released for far less than a lot of the things that Sean Strickland himself does, much less a lot of other people. But in these days, since the woke agenda has taken over and and Dana White's fully against it and fully against censorship and all that shit, he says, you know, First Amendment, freedom of speech. I'm not going to tell them to shut up. And we'll see if our sponsors want to stick around, and he doesn't care if they don't. So at least it doesn't seem like it. So yeah, that's how that works. That's why Sean Strickland can continue to do what he's doing and say what he wants to say, because Dana White is indifferent about it. He lets it go. It is what it is. That's Sean being Sean doing Sean things. So I guess we all got to deal with it. There's no stopping it. So I guess be entertained when it's entertaining. If he takes aim at somebody you don't like, maybe he'll find it more funny. I don't know. Moving on, more UFC news. UFC 300, of course, has been in the top of the headlines for the past who knows how long anymore. Mainly because we're waiting for fight announcements. Everyone's waiting. I talked about it last week, how, you know, during the Super Bowl, there's going to be a commercial featuring Dana White. And, you know, I didn't honestly think they were going to announce it at the Super Bowl, but I did say it would be a genius idea. I wasn't thinking far enough into it because, of course, Ariel Helwani, of all people, brings up the good point that that's not their network. Their network is ESPN and Disney. So why would they put it out on ABC or wherever the fucking Super Bowl is playing? So that makes a lot of sense. I mean, but he like just trashed everybody that even had an inkling of a idea that it might happen during the Super Bowl. I'm just thinking that's pretty genius. You got a lot of eyes, but the better point was they're struggling to get this main event, and they don't even have a main event. So why would they go out of their way and put it together at the last second? All of these Super Bowl commercials have been done for a while, and you know they're not gonna be able to put anything together. So those were all, you know, that quickly and to get it out there. So those are all good points by Ariel Helwani, and I give him props for that. The way he went about it, he's basically calling everybody stupid. Those are some of the reasons why people hate Ariel Helwani. I'm fine. Like, he annoys me sometimes, but for the most part, I enjoy the content. I enjoy the information. I enjoy the exclusivity that he has on his show with certain things. There are things that get on my nerves a bit. His show's very long. It's always 3 hours plus. So it's like watching a Joe Rogan podcast, but even more so sometimes, because there's a lot of times where he goes 4 hours. But he has a lot of guests on. He talks to a lot of fighters. You get a lot of insight into a lot of different things. And I've actually learned a lot of stuff about different subjects. Darts, wrestling, soccer, all kinds of shit he covers on there. So it's an interesting show if you're a hardcore fan. If you're a hardcore fan and podcast listener, that's definitely one that I would recommend to listen to. But that's it's always going. It's just like me going over a lot of information that you can get online, but a little more in depth. And he has a lot of insight and he has a lot of pull when it comes to the MMA world because he's been around for a long time and he has a lot of connections. I don't have any of that. I'm just here doing this thing on my own. So, I just put things together, make a show of it, and have a good time. I wish I had insight. I wish I had connections, but I don't. My show would be bigger if I did. But yeah, that's the difference. So, I hear a lot of things, and it's something that gives me more content to talk about because he always hits on those subjects and all of that. But back to 300. Conor versus Chandler is out. Something's up with the Conor thing because other people were talking about this as well. Nobody knows. Dana has gone on a few different places and talked about how the Conor's not even fighting in June like we first initially thought during International Fight Week. Conor announced he was going to be fighting on that card on June 29th for International Fight Week, and that's not happening, at least according to Dana. They're saying probably more towards like the fall, but things need to come together. Conor needs to show and prove that he's in a serious fight camp in order to get him a fight. But people brought up the good point that why would he be in a serious fight camp if he doesn't have anything on the schedule? So maybe just schedule him for a fight. But there's deeper issues. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the UFC's in limbo right now with the TV deal. And ESPN, the TV deal with ESPN is coming up soon, I think at the end of the year. So they're going to be looking for another streaming service or looking to re-up with ESPN or something. But they need negotiation chips. They need a way to keep that big time money coming in from someone having the rights to their to all the fights and all of the content. So, I mean, what do they have for star power right now that's at the level of Conor McGregor? I mean, even though he hasn't fought in a few years because of the injury and everything else going on, that is still a massive star, hate it or not. I mean, hate it or love it, like it or not is what I was trying to say. Conor is still their biggest star regardless, and there's no way anyone can say anything any different. So they need to keep Conor in their pocket as a bargaining chip. He has 2 fights left on his contract, and I think they're prolonging him fighting because they want to make sure that they can, he's giving them issues with re-upping. They don't like to let their stars of that manner, they don't like to let them go. They want to re-sign them before their last fight, preferably 2 fights, before the when they have 2 fights left is what I'm trying to say. So they usually try to do that, and Conor isn't down with that because there's a lot of talks of Manny Pacquiao coming out of retirement for sure already, and then him saying that his main opponent that he wants to face is Conor McGregor. So Conor's thinking that's money, that's big money, but I can't do it if the UFC doesn't let me, or if the UFC doesn't do it with me until I'm released from there and out of my contract. But he still has 2 fights, and they won't give him a fight. So there's a lot of shit going on, and the biggest thing is, UFC's trying to bargain with and negotiate the TV deal. So that holds a lot of weight. Why the fuck I know this? Because I listen to all these things. That's why. If I was listening to me and knew me personally, I'd be like, how the fuck does he know all this? I just listen. That's all. I listen to a lot of things, and I read a lot of shit. And my social media's just littered with MMA news of all sorts. So it's what I do. It's my thing. I love MMA. That's why I do this show. So, but yeah, so UFC 300, they're still saying, the problem is Dana came out and said that the main event's already scheduled. It's already there. It's been announced. But I think he misspoke. I think he meant to say the co-main is already there. They're just looking for the main. But he also said that there's still 2 fights left to announce. But that card is so fucking full except for a main event. So what's going to happen? Who the fuck knows? But that's just to touch on UFC 300 and the news surrounding it. It's a big time news topic. It's a big time thing that everyone's talking about. So I had to throw it out there. I wanted to cover whatever was going on with that, and it's a good way for me to express my thoughts on it and get it out there too. So yeah, that's 300. We'll see. Oh, but the biggest reason as well, I almost forgot the main point. The whole reason why I actually decided to put this up here is because now the announcement was made. Dana saying that at the post-fight press conference for UFC 298 on Saturday is when he's going to announce UFC 300. That's weird, because why after a big fight would you wait? Why wouldn't you bring more eyes to this fight by announcing it beforehand? So then people be like, well, I'm gonna watch this card, I'm gonna watch all the cards leading up to it, and you know, stuff like that. I don't know. I still don't think they have something set in stone, and that's why. But we'll see if he's just teasing us again, or if he's actually gonna announce it. But yeah, the thing with that is I need to be paying attention, because that leads me into my next thing, which is the Watch Party podcast happening Saturday during the main card of UFC 298. It'll be starting at 8 p.m. Arizona time. So come back here to this channel, catch me podcasting with a couple other people. You know, the Technically Unsound podcast. The guys from my other podcast will be there, helping me talk about the fights, cover the fights, talking shit, having fun, probably drinking. I'm gonna be drinking. I don't know if they'll be drinking, but it is fun when everybody's drinking. So we'll see how it goes. I'm sure. Oh, and my buddy Josh, who has been on the Watch Party once, says he's gonna be coming and hanging out as well. We'll see if I get anybody else in here. I got space for two other people besides myself, so we'll see which one of my other buddies want to come and hang out and watch the fights too. And if not, it'll be me and Josh in here with the guys from Technically Unsound podcast. So come check that out. Wednesday, 8 p.m. Arizona time. Same channel right here. Fucking Going Around's YouTube podcast channel. That's what I'm this is a lot. Going Around's YouTube channel. And yeah, just don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you know when I'm going live for the fights. It's a good reminder. Turn down that broadcast that you barely hear anyway most of the time and nobody's really paying attention to, and listen to us joke around, laugh, have fun, and watch the fights and react to them all. This is gonna be a big card. It's gonna be a fun card, and I feel like we're gonna get some exciting fights and good finishes, so we should get some good reactions. Don't forget, check it out Saturday. All right, so let's get into some UFC Vegas 86. Little recap. Jack Hermanson versus Joe Pyfer. Holy shit. Mr. Joe Pyfer, undefeated. Looks like a fucking world beater. Comes across Jack Hermanson, who hasn't fought in a while, and who I was thinking maybe not an easy fight because Hermanson's a beast, but I'm thinking Joe Pyfer's on a roll. There's no way he's gonna drop this one easily. Boy, was I wrong. Son of a bitch. I don't know if I'm jinxing these fights because I'm starting to bet on them more. I don't know what's happening. I'm a horrible bettor. I'm just trying to get better at betting so I can win some money. Because I didn't lose my ass because I only bet $20 max. I spread it out between some parlays here and there. I never bet on just one fight. It's always multi-leg parlays. It seems better, and it seems the most worth it, and it's the most profitable if you win. So that's how I do it. I just make a few parlay bets. I spread out my $20 across it, and I put the most on the one I feel the best about. So, and then, you know, I give my picks here on what I'm picking as far as just outright money line fights. And I'm gonna do the same for UFC 298. So we'll hit that at the end of the preview for that card. But I won 0 fights here. Oh man, that's horrible. Maybe I didn't win 0. I think I might have guessed 1 or 2 fights correctly. I think. I'll find out when I go through it right now. But at the bottom of the card, I mean, the fight card started with a no contest. Accidental groin kick in the second round between Daniel Marcos and Quilang Aori. That was a bantamweight fight. So no contest to start this off. Let's see. Hader Emil got a exciting TKO win over Fernie Garcia. That was a hell of a knockout. Bogdan Guskov versus Zach Pauga. That was a KO in the first round by Guskov. Another big KO there. Max Triffin wins a split decision over Jeremiah Wells in the welterweight division. Marcin Prachnio gets a unanimous decision win over Devin Clark in the light heavyweight division. A lot of decisions on this card. There's a women's strawweight fight. Can't even pronounce that girl's name, against Brana Brazil. Decision win. Bolaji Oki gets a split decision win over Timothy Kuwamba in the lightweight division. And then Carlos Paredes gets a KO in the second round against Trevin Giles. So that's it for the prelims. So let's see, we had all decisions, 1 no contest, and 3 finishes in the prelim card. So now let's get to the main card. We had Rodolfo Vieira versus Armin Petrosyan in the first fight of the main card, and I went with Petrosyan in this fight, and unfortunately he lost by submission, by arm triangle choke to Rodolfo Vieira in the first fucking round. It says 4 minutes and 48 seconds here. I guess it was. I thought it was way closer. Either way, he had seconds left to hold on and maybe, relieve some of that pressure of that choke. It looked like he had some space. He was moving around, and then it just seemed like he gave up. Petrosyan just decided he was done, and he was submitted by arm triangle choke, and there went my parlay. First fight of the night, parlay over. Fucking A. So that's how that went. That was shit. Then we move on to Michael Johnson versus Darius Flowers. Michael Johnson is a very inconsistent fighter. Darius Flowers looked like he had some good not motivation. Damn it. I totally forgot what I was gonna say. Anyway, he looked like he was kind of on a roll, looked like he was doing well, but the vet, Michael Johnson, been around for a long time, has a lot of experience, fought a lot of big names. Strength of schedule is above and beyond Darius Flowers, who's kind of a newcomer. So, unfortunately, unfortunately for my parlay, but good for Michael Johnson, he gets a unanimous decision win over Darius Flowers in the lightweight division for the second fight of the main card. Johnson showed some pretty good striking throughout, and just looked like Darius Flowers wasn't sure what to do with all of it, and he just let the veteran show off his skills, and basically, just the talent won. That's all there is to it. The experience, the fight IQ, everything of Michael Johnson kicked in, and it all worked in cohesion for him, and he got the unanimous decision win over Darius Flowers. Then we move on to Gregory Rodriguez versus Brad Tavares. RoboCop. This one was a win for me. I did pick him in the middleweight division. Brad Tavares surprised the shit out of me in his last fight over Chris Weidman, and really worked Chris Weidman and just beat him in impressive fashion. So I was a little worried about this bet, but RoboCop is a beast. And he's just been doing real well. And I just had a gut feeling that this might be, a good fight for him. So, yeah, he gets a TKO in the third round, 55 seconds into the third round over Brad Tavares. That was in the middleweight division. RoboCop, his striking looked damn good. Definitely beat up Brad Tavares. Showed a lot of damage on his face. Rodriguez got some damage as well, a little bloodied up here and there, but nothing big. Impressive win for him in a bit of a tough matchup against Brad Tavares, who, like I said, beats people when you don't think he's going to. He's a tough guy. He can take a lot of damage. He can take a lot of punishment, but he fell short in this one. So that's it for that fight. We'll move on to what was a catchweight fight, because Robert Bryzek was making his debut in the UFC against Ihor Pretoria. So this was a 188 catchweight. I assume it was supposed to have been at middleweight, 185. But yeah, this was a unanimous decision win for Ihor Pretoria, which I lost this one too. I was going with the newcomer, thinking Pretoria just kind of is kind of a back and forth fighter, and Bryzak looked like he was kind of on a roll, just had a lot of wins. I believe he might have been undefeated. No, he wasn't, but he was on a 5-fight win streak, and all of those wins were by TKO or KO. So that's what I was looking at when I was betting on this, because Ihor Pretoria had kind of a questionable last few fights. I mean, he had lost to Rodolfo Bellato and Carlos Olberg, so he was on a 2-fight losing streak. So I'm thinking, shit, this is a good one. You know, a guy making his debut wants to come out with a bang. He's been knocking people out, TKOing people left and right, but Pretoria was having none of that this fight, and he got the best of Bryzak and, you know, welcomed into the UFC with a TKO win, or I'm sorry, with a unanimous decision win. And yeah, it's just man, that just nothing was working for me. Nothing. I even went with I think Bryzak was actually the favorite as well, which was kind of crazy considering it was his debut. But then we get to probably the most exciting fight of the night, Dan Ige versus Andre Fili. These guys have been training partners before, and I guess there's, you know, friends, I believe. I don't know how close, but that's what I heard. I just think that they're from the same area and they've trained together before, so they're, you know, they're good acquaintances or whatnot. But Dan Ige, 50K Ige, lived up to his name with a big KO win over Andre Fili in the first round. And I went with Dan Ige, but I thought that I was actually feeling a little unsettled about this one because Andre Fili, oh, I'm sorry, did I say Fili? I went with Ige. But yeah, because Andre Fili comes out and just whoops people's asses sometimes. You never know, but he's also a real back and forth inconsistent fighter. So you never know what you're going to get with him. You never know which version of him he's going to come out. But Dan Ige just looked impressive as all hell with this big right hand that he landed. It sounded like a baseball bat hitting somebody's head. It was fucking a hell of a KO. And then he followed it up, regardless of the relationship or the background or the history, he still followed it up with a big shot on the ground, and then it got broken up. I mean, obviously, you never know if the guy's completely out or not if you don't get to see his face when he's falling back. If he's not laid out flat, of course you don't know, so you got to, you know, make sure you finish the fight. That's what he's doing, and that's what he did. And this was just a hell of a picture of Fili, you know, laid out, kind of upset, figuring out what was happening, and Dan Ige just walking away. Those pictures are always entertaining to see. So I just wanted to showcase that one because I liked it. But yeah, that was a damn impressive win by Dan Ige, and I'm happy I won that one. But I didn't win it because it was part of a parlay. So I mean, I only got 2 fights. I only got 2 fights out of the 6 main card fights. I went 2-4. It's a damn shame. But I thought the lock was for sure Joe Pyfer. Joe Pyfer versus Jack Hermanson. And, you know, Joe Pyfer looked good. Still, like, it's not like he didn't do anything. His striking still looked good. But I think the experience and just the grit of Jack Hermanson put Joe Pyfer made Joe Pyfer get his first loss in the UFC. I don't think he wasn't undefeated overall, but he was undefeated in the UFC. So, and there's a lot of hype around him, so a lot of people were kind of happy about that. And I mean, I think that kind of sucks. I mean, Joe Pyfer seems like a really cool dude. He's not he's a confident guy, but he's not cocky and shit. You know, he knows what he can do. He knows what he's capable of, and he speaks facts about it. But he doesn't go out there acting like Ilia Topuria is doing right now. So, I was kind of upset to see him lose, but a lot of people were happy about it, saying, you know, the hype train got stopped finally. But I think a lot of times when you're undefeated like that, he knows what defeat is because he's lost before, but he's only has this makes his third loss overall in his career. So he hasn't lost a lot, but he's undefeated in the UFC. And sometimes, you know, a lot can be said for how these guys bounce back after being undefeated, even if it's just in the UFC. But I think he's probably going to learn more than he's gonna just regret losing. I mean, it's win or learn sometimes, and I think this is going to be just a learning experience for him, because he does, you know, he's not a perfect fighter, but he's a damn good fighter, and he's been damn impressive. So a step up in competition proved that he maybe has a few things to work on. So that's what he needs to do. Hopefully he puts that all into play. But, you know, he still showed his skills, and he still did his thing. Unfortunately, he came up short. So Jack Hermanson definitely tested his chin, showed what his striking was like, and I mean, he landed a lot, and it was impressive. And there's not much more you can say about it. He just got the best of him, and that's all there is to it. Yeah, I mean, just a lot of big shots landed on Joe Pyfer, which was surprising to see, because he's usually on the other side of that, landing the big shots and putting people out. So to see him kind of get worked and get outstruck, of all things, because that's what he's good at, is striking. So he's only been TKO'd once, and you know, this was just a decision loss for him. So at least he didn't go out like that. He didn't get KO'd, didn't get finished. It was just a decision loss for him. Hopefully he learns a lot from this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in his next fight. Here's the last picture. We got Hermanson with a little bit of ground and pound, some posturing. Congrats to Hermanson on getting that win. And yeah, that about does it for UFC Vegas 86. Let's move on to UFC 298. Forgot to push a button. Hold on. Okay. Well, Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. This should be a rather exciting fight, I think, because Volkanovski's coming off the big KO loss to Islam Makhachev up in the lightweight division. So, why does it sound like... That's weird. I've kind of been having this small issue. Don't get me wrong, I haven't had too many technical difficulties lately, but I did notice the other day that it sounds like I'm getting double audio every once in a while, and I'm not exactly sure why. But it is kind of driving me crazy, and I wish I could figure it out. So anyway, hopefully that's not too distracting. I just heard it in the background a little bit, and I didn't hear it when I kind of did my test run, so it's kind of weird. But UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Topuria. Topuria is undefeated, 14-0. Trying to test his skills against Alexander Volkanovski, one of the best featherweights there is right now, and there has been, really. Lots of title defenses. He's undefeated in this division. Obviously, he went up twice to fight in the lightweight division, and dropped those two fights to Islam Makhachev. Unfortunately, the last one being a head kick knockout. And yeah, that wasn't that long ago. So that's my biggest fear for Volkanovski with this fight, is that he just, oh shit. Oh, there we go. Yeah, he just got knocked out not that long ago. I mean, this was like less than 6 months ago, I think. Let me look, because I'm actually curious to see when that fight was. Islam, that was October. So November, December, January, February. Oh fuck, that was like 4 months ago. Not even a full 4 months, because this fight's happening on the 17th, and that was October 21st. So yeah, less than 4 months from getting knocked out cold with a head kick, and he's now fighting to defend his featherweight championship. So I got to give him props, man. But he admittingly, without making it an excuse, he did say that. Well, first of all, it was a short notice fight against Islam, because Charles Oliveira was supposed to be fighting and he got injured. So they brought in Volk to try to take the lightweight title, become a champ again. But it was a short notice fight, and he admitted that he wasn't in the best shape. He didn't get to have a good camp. His weight cut was tough. Even though, he went up in weight, so maybe it wasn't too bad. Maybe that wasn't a factor. But the biggest thing was he said that he had really not been training like he should have been, and that he had been drinking pretty heavily for the 3 or 4 weeks leading up to the fight. So not a lot of people can fight at a high level like that, doing stuff, not being motivated or focused in the way that you should be. So maybe that was a mistake for him to take that fight, but here we are. So and Topuria, he's just looked like a world beater lately. Undefeated, impressive wins all the way around. But yeah, we'll get more into that here in a minute. But I wanted to, of course, start with the normal preview of the short, rundown preview of the prelims. Sorry, I keep getting distracted. This one starts off with a banger right away. Andrea Lee versus Miranda Maverick in the flyweight women's division. Andrea Lee's 13-8, Miranda Maverick's 12-5. Both these women are pretty impressive fighters. Miranda Maverick's been on a tear lately. Andrea Lee's kind of one of those back and forth, inconsistent fighters, but Miranda Maverick's coming off of a submission win over Priscilla Cachoeira, which was a pretty exciting fight. She is she's won 3 out of her last 4 fights. And then Andrea Lee is coming off of a loss, actually coming off 3 losses. So she's on a 3-fight losing streak. But that was to Vivian Araujo, Macy Barber, and Natalia Silva. So yeah, those are some pretty tough fights. But Andrea Lee, man, she's on a 3-fight losing streak. If she loses this one, it's going to be tough to be able to stay on that UFC roster, especially dropping that many fights, because it looks like she's done this in the past as well, had a 3-fight losing streak, but then she came back, won 2 in a row, and then lost 3 in a row again. So if she keeps up in that path, then she's she's set to win this one. But Miranda Maverick is no joke, and that's going to be a tough fight for her, because I don't know that she's really fought too many people like Miranda Maverick who can kind of do it all. So that should be a pretty exciting fight to start off the prelims. Then we move on to Obon Elliott versus Valentine Woodburn, who was the guy that fought not Joe Pyfer, but Bo Nickel at International Fight Week last year in July. And that was that crazy quick finish in the first round by Bo Nickel. And Woodburn, that was his debut, and he got KO'd in his first fight in the UFC, and it was fast, like 37 seconds or something like that. So he's trying to bounce back from that. That was his first loss of his career as well. So he's 7-1 against Obon Elliott, who I believe is making his UFC debut in this one. He's 9-2, and yeah, he's coming off Dana White's Contender Series in August of last year. He got a win there, and now he's making his debut in the in the big leagues here in the UFC. And I guess he's a big Chael Sonnen is like his idol, and he's pretty giddy about the fact that Chael's going to be at the fight, and he's going to get to meet him. So that seems like could be a pretty good fight in itself. Couple newer guys to the UFC, one making his debut, one in only his second fight. And if Elliott is as good as it sounds, I'm not sure that Woodburn is going to do well in this one, but we'll see how that goes. Next fight is Josh Quinlan versus Danny Barlow. Danny Barlow is undefeated, 7-0. Josh Quinlan is 6-1. This is in the welterweight division, and this is Danny Barlow's first fight in the UFC as well. He's also a Dana White Contender Series guy. Josh Quinlan is coming off a loss to Trey Waters. He's 1-1 in the UFC. Also a Dana White Contender Series guy. So, yeah, that's in the middleweight division. Moving on, we got Ming Yang Zhang versus Brenson Ribeiro. That's a light heavyweight fight. 16-6 for Zhang, 15-5 for Ribeiro. We got Rinya Nakamura versus Carlos Vera in the bantamweight division. Nakamura is 8-0. Carlos Vera is 11-3. Nakamura is undefeated in the UFC. He's 4-0. So, yeah, he's looking to keep that undefeated streak going. 8-0 overall. Carlos Vera is 11-3, coming off of a win. And this is actually his debut in the UFC. He's actually on a 4-fight winning streak coming out of Fury FC. So, yeah, this should be an exciting fight because you got a couple guys who are on big win streaks. One being his debut and the other being undefeated in the UFC. And then to round out the prelims, we have Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Justin Tafa. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the second to the last fight in the prelims. That's a heavyweight fight. Justin Tafa is an exciting fighter. I mean, this fool sleeps a lot of people, but he does have a bit of a cardio problem. So we'll see how this goes, because De Lima, I believe, is a damn good submission guy. Maybe not so much that I thought he was. No, I'm thinking of the other De Lima. That's what happens when you got guys with the same names. But he's coming off a loss to Derek Lewis. He's 21-9 overall. Before that, he was on a 2-fight win streak with wins over Andrei Arlovsky and Waldo Cortez Acosta. And he's got a big mix of ways of winning. TKO, decision, submission, decision, TKO, decision, submission, TKO. So, yeah, big mix there. He can do it all, kind of. He's got more losses than wins in submissions, though, so I was wrong about that one. Then you got Justin Tafa, who's coming off a win over Austin Lane, which was a rematch against Lane due to that accidental eye poke. No contest in June of last year. They fought again in September, and Justin Tafa wins by KO in the first round. That puts him on a 3-fight win streak if you don't count that no contest, and all of those wins being by KO. So he's got that stopping power for sure, and this one could be over quickly. But if it gets drug out, it's not going to look good for Tafa. So that's a heavyweight fight. And then we get to the last fight of the prelim card, which is Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. This one it could be a good fight, but here's the problem. Mackenzie Dern, she's pretty popular. A lot of people know her. She's pretty damn good looking, and she's also a great fighter. She's a hell of a submission artist. Her dad is a world-renowned jiu-jitsu player. He's a legend in the jiu-jitsu world, so she is a jiu-jitsu girl. Her striking is not the best, and her striking defense is not the best either. Her last fight was not good at all against Jessica Andrade. Mackenzie Dern's 13-4. That last fight she lost by TKO in the second round. She just looked like an amateur with striking in that fight. Something happened because she was doing well. And her striking was looking better, and all of a sudden she comes into this fight in November of last year against Jessica Andrade, and I mean, she even got to the point where she just started dropping to the ground and butt scooting, and it's like, what are you doing? It was bad. Like, she couldn't eat. She's trying to resort back to her strength, but in the most desperate ways. And I was pretty disappointed because I'm a Mackenzie Dern fan, and I thought she was improving quite a bit. I'm gonna be real about it most of the time, and when it comes down to it, I was excited by her career at the moment, but I knew that she had that weakness in striking. Before, it was the weakness in making weight. She was having trouble making weight. Her weight was always a problem, and she did the opposite of what most people think, which is when you have a kid that you struggle with your weight after that, being a woman. But she came back stronger. That mom power got better, and her striking just seemed to be improving, and she was on an upward swing. Now she did lose to Yan Xiaonan before she beat Angela Hill, and then lost to Jessica Andrade. She's inconsistent. It's win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. She puts together a few wins. Her longest win streak is about 4 in a row. But then she gets a loss, and and then it just kind of screws her up, and she'll just be on this win-lose kind of streak. So if you follow the pattern, she's set to win this one, but she's fighting Amanda Lemos, and Amanda Lemos is a hell of a striker. She's 13-3. She's coming off a loss to Weili Zhang, where she did not look impressive at all. But that is, no offense. I don't that bit. You don't like her, but I bet she hard as fuck. Lancelot Russell is in the chat. I'm assuming he's talking about Mackenzie Dern. She has no offense. He doesn't like her, and yeah, that's funny, man. I get it, dude. Mackenzie Dern, she's on there's a hype train around her. Who cares? Strikers, in my opinion, is actually what I do. Oh, you're a striker. What do you do? Are you a boxer? Muay Thai? I don't know her. Oh, okay. Well, who are you talking about, bro? Try to figure it out. But yeah, Amanda Lemos lost to Weili Zhang by unanimous decision back in August of last year. Before that, no, a striker always wins. I get it. I wouldn't say always, though. MMA's fucking weird, man. Like, it comes down to what happens in the fight. Somebody can make it you're a boxer. Oh, all right, I got you. Boxers usually think that. Marine. Oh shit. Thank you for your service. Striking is a game that, when you are a striker, legit KO people with a body. All right. When you're a striker, though, you think because you knock people out that's way more of dangerous game, because you can shut people's lights off, right? But I mean, submissions and ground games are, wrestling, a wrestler can make a striker wish he didn't want to be fighting at the moment, because I suck at BJJ. Yeah, it's all good. Listen, man, I don't do any of those things on a level that you're probably boxing, so I get it. But jiu-jitsu looks hard. But elbow your face, hell yeah. Elbows are, yeah, jiu-jitsu looks difficult, but it looks interesting and fun. And just to be able to know that you can manipulate somebody's joints and actually stop someone from breathing long enough to put them to sleep, that's dangerous as well when it comes down to it. But there's nothing like a good knockout, and I like fighting in general, and I do like seeing people get knocked out, and I did like knocking people out when I did fight in the streets. Maybe not knocking people out cold, but yeah, fighting in general is fun, and striking is super exciting. There's no doubt about that. Dropping elbows on someone trying to do jiu-jitsu is all good unless they're faster than you. So that's the only problem. I respect all sides of the game, but I do like striking a lot. So that's really all I can say about that. But and that's what Amanda Lemos is a striker. Just you break my wrist. Amanda Lemos is definitely a good striker, and I don't know that Mackenzie Dern has the defense to be able to withstand the attacks from Lemos. So unless Mackenzie Dern's been working on things and getting better at her striking and her defense, that's all there is to it. I hear you, man. Dropping elbows. I got you. It's definitely dangerous. I don't doubt that at all. So, I want to say I'm going for Mackenzie Dern, but it's tough, man. So this wouldn't be a fight I would bet on anyway. You got me in guard. I'm stronger. I can lift 700 pounds. All right. Rampage Jackson with that big slam. I mean, if you're strong enough and you can do that, that's where jiu-jitsu gets dangerous when you're doing it, because trying to lock up that triangle, but if you don't realize someone's about to pick you up and slam you on your head and you don't have something like a mat or something to fall on, you're going to get your head busted, and that's not good. So, yeah, jiu-jitsu is not the end-all, be-all. That's for damn sure. Little girls. This dude is not big on... It's not big on... Oh, you don't know them. Oh, you don't know Lemos or Dern. Okay, I got you. Wow, check out the fight, because yeah, it should be interesting. Oh, damn, it's some big boys, 270 and 240. Do you fight anywhere specific? Do you fight anywhere specific? Do you do it, just for fun, or are you fighting competitively? Just curious. And if you do fight competitively, like, where do you fight? Where do you fight out of? Where are you from? Actually, that's what I should be asking. But while we wait for that answer, let's move into the main card. We got Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov in the middleweight division. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, he's 30 years old. He's 11-2 overall in MMA, 5-2 in the UFC. 2-1 in KO TKOs, 7-0 in submissions, and 2-0 in decisions. He's on a 4-fight win streak right now, so that's pretty damn impressive. Lancelot says, I was a Marine that won the 3 versus 3 championship. I studied under Julian Jackson. Okay. I don't know if you heard of him. I don't know him specifically. I mean, it kind of sounds familiar, honestly, but I can't say that I know who you're speaking of. But where are you from, Lancelot? That's what I'd like to know. And just out of curiosity. Anyway, Roman Kopylov, 32 years old. He's 12-2 overall in MMA, 4-2 in the UFC. He's 11-0 in KO TKOs, 0-1 in submissions, and 1-1 in decisions. So, but he's also on a 4-fight win streak. So, I mean, these guys kind of got similar records. St. Thomas. Okay. Former professional boxer Julian Jackson. All right. Oh, okay. That would be why it sounded familiar. I don't know boxing all that well, but I do recognize a few names here and there. So yeah, that's cool, man. Julian Jackson. How old are you, by the way? Yeah, Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov, both on a 4-fight win streak. And yeah, on this one, I'm a little bit torn, because Kopylov, he works the body pretty well, and from what I've noticed, and Anthony Hernandez doesn't seem to take body shots real well. So if Kopylov can ask Mike Tyson, all right. If Kopylov can take advantage of those body shots, as you can see here, a little bit of a spinning back kick, it looks like, straight to the gut. Yeah, I mean, he's got great body shots, good striking. He's 11-0 in KO TKOs. So yeah, the Kopylov is dangerous, but Anthony Hernandez has been on a roll, and he is definitely a good striker as well. Let's see, he's coming off a win, obviously, over Edmund Shabazian. Let's see, who else has he beat? Marc-Andre Barrio, Josh Freeman, and Rodolfo Vieira. You got Kopylov? Yeah, so that's what I'm getting at too here. Guy who? What the hell? All right, we got a couple people in the chat, so that's what I'm reading, if you're wondering why I'm getting distracted. But I like to interact with the chat. So if we got people in the chat, I'm definitely interacting. You guys missing the thing? Okay. I'm not sure what Lancelot's talking about right now. He's going off. But yeah, strength of schedule wise, I think maybe Kopylov might have Hernandez there. He's also Josh Freeman. He's got a win over him, Claudio Ribeiro, Punahele Soriano, and Alessio De Chirico. I mean, they got similar records. And, you know, you talk a little men. Oh, well, dude, I'm just going over the card, man. This is UFC 298. These are the fights on the card. So that's why I'm talking about them. So, yeah, I mean, this is the fight that I'm talking about right now. So this is why I'm talking about little guys. But I think I'm definitely going with Kopylov in this one. He is the underdog. But, yeah, he's the underdog right now. But as far, I mean, it's going to be a tough fight. And Anthony Hernandez is no joke, and he's been on a roll. But I don't know, my gut's telling me Kopylov right now. So anyway, let's get back over here. And let's move on to the next fight, which is actually one of the fights I'm the most excited about on this card. But there's a lot of great fights on this card. Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. Former champion Henry Cejudo. Fighting Merab, who's basically the number one contender right now in the bantamweight division. I feel like he probably should have gotten a title fight already. But, you know, the discretion with Eljo being his training partner and his friend, when it comes down to it, you know, the UFC doesn't like it when you turn down fights. If you don't want to fight your friend, they don't care. They just want you, the top people, to fight the top people for the most part. And that's what they were looking to do. And Merab, Dana says Merab just kind of flubbed it. And, you know, that's why he's in the position he's in. But, you know, he's still a great fighter. He's on a 9-fight win streak. I mean, shit. You can't deny that. 9 fights in a row with a win. Now, he does have a lot of decision wins, but when it comes down to it, he's a great fighter. And, I mean, he's, I would say, the number one contender right now for sure in my eyes. He's 33 years old, 16-4 in MMA, 9-2 in the UFC. He dropped the first 2 fights of his UFC career, but then went on this crazy 9-fight win streak, and it's still going. And so he's looking to extend that and prove even more that he can, you know, that he should be fighting for the title against a former champion. So he's 3-0 in the KO TKO column, 1-1 in submissions, and 12-3 in decisions. He is fighting Henry Cejudo, the former bantamweight champion, and also the former bantamweight flyweight. No, what other champion? No, flyweight. Yeah, former flyweight champion as well. He's a midget. Yeah, a lot of people say Henry Cejudo is a midget, but it's funny. But Cejudo's 37 years old, 16-3 overall, 10-3 in the UFC. He's 9-1 in KO TKOs, no submission wins or losses. And then he's 9-2 in decisions, and he's coming off a loss to Aljamain Sterling when he fought for the belt after his return from being retired for a little while. And Aljo put the work in on him. And you know, Aljo being the former bantamweight champion and Merab's friend and trading partner, and he lost to, you know, Sugar Sean O'Malley. So that's who these guys are fighting to hopefully take on next. But yeah, as far as Merab goes, I mean, man, he's a tough guy to say that you're just gonna run through, because they call him the machine, but he, you know, the reason for that is because he's got great cardio. He could take a lot of damage. I mean, there's a couple fights there where he took so much. I mean, he got hit, he got dropped a few times, looked like the fight was about to be done, and he gets back up and continues on. So shit, that they call him the machine for a reason. He's nonstop with the takedowns. I think he holds the record for the most takedowns in a fight in the bantamweight division. So I don't even know how far that reaches. I don't know if that means overall as well, but definitely in the bantamweight division. So he's great with his takedowns. He's great with his wrestling. His striking His striking isn't the best. I would say that's probably his downfall, but he's pretty well-rounded everywhere else. And, you know, he's been on a roll. 9-fight winning streak. They may not have been all finishes. They may not be the most exciting fights overall, but you can't deny what kind of a role he's been on and what he's been doing in the UFC lately. Super dominant. And, you know, it's just shades of Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards before he became champ. You know, they go on these big, long win streaks, taking fights left and right, and they just can't seem to get that title fight. And when it finally happens, you know, they can show and prove what they can really do. So sometimes they come up short, but sometimes they show that they were on that win streak. And Lancelot's on another level right now. But yeah, so when it comes to Merab, he's gonna definitely be trying to grapple a lot. And Henry Cejudo is a Olympian, a gold medal Olympian in wrestling. So this is what's gonna make Lancelot likes elbows, that's for damn sure. But this is what's gonna make this fight interesting, because both these guys have damn good grappling and wrestling. So it's going to be a back and forth war. I don't see anybody being stopped in this one. I feel like this is definitely going to go the distance, and I'm leaning towards Merab in this one, just because I feel like he's the more hungry fighter right now. He's the younger guy, up and coming, and you know, he's on that 9-fight win streak. He's hot right now. His social media has taken off. Henry Cejudo, the king of cringe. The only thing he's done of note lately is fake that he fired his coach on the UFC countdown for 298, and then they come back and say that it was all fake or whatever. But then his coach goes on Ariel Helwani's show and talks about how that was legit, it was real, and you know, they just put aside their differences and they're all good now. So I don't know. Shit. I don't know about this one. I don't know where Henry is with his state of mind. You know, usually he comes out showing out and being crazy at the press conference, and he was pretty tame in this one. So I don't know. I don't know if he's got what it takes to hang with Merab. And either way, when it comes down to it, whatever he's got from Merab, I think Merab can take. And I think he can withstand whatever kind of an attack that Henry Cejudo is going to throw at him. So I think Merab's going to come out with the win in this one, probably by decision. But it's fine, because that's how he's won a lot of his fights. And no matter what, he's a dominant fighter and he gets the wins. So I'm rooting for Merab in this one. So far I got Kopylov and Merab as the winners for these fights. Let's move on to Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary. Jeff Neal is 33 years old. He's 15-5 overall in MMA, 7-3 in the UFC. He's 9-1 in KO TKOs, 2-2 in submissions, and 4-2 in decisions, and he's coming off a loss. This fight was scheduled before, but I think Jeff Neal got hurt, so Ian Gary wound up fighting someone else. I think that was the Neil Magny fight that he wound up fighting him on. I don't remember. But Ian Gary's 26 years old, 13-0 in MMA, undefeated overall. 6-0 in the UFC. So he's undefeated overall. I already said that. What the fuck am I saying? But he's 7-0, 7 KO wins, no KO losses, 1-0 in submissions, 5-0 in decisions, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. Because yeah, he's 6-0 in the UFC. So let's see. Ian Gary's last win, though, was not as impressive as the previous ones. It was a unanimous decision win over Neil Magny, but you know, Neil Magny's a tough opponent for sure. And I mean, Neil Magny's one of those kind of what do you call it? Awkward type opponents, I guess. So yeah, that's tough. But yeah, on a 6-fight win streak, Jeff Neal is coming off a loss. But you know, like I said, this fight was scheduled before, and it didn't get to happen. So, but Jeff Neal's last loss was to Shavkat Rakhmonov, which, holy shit, I mean, that's a tough ass opponent. So, but he did put up a pretty decent fight in the beginning, in the first couple rounds. He lost in the third round by submission, and but Shavkat, you know, he's a fucking beast, but Jeff put up a good fight. So when it comes down to it, you know, he can withstand, and he might give Ian Gary a run for his money. But yeah, I mean, Ian Gary's definitely the favorite, but Jeff Neal, I mean, he's gotten some big wins over Vicente Luque, Santiago Ponzinibbio, Mike Perry, Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad, as you can see here. So I mean, he's got some big wins over some big names. And when it comes down to it, you know, he's a pretty damn good fighter, and you know, there should be bad blood here because of the fact that Ian Gary was pulling all that shit with Neal. I mean, with Neal before. But yeah, Jeff Neal just doesn't look like he gives a shit. He just wants to go in there and fight and prove what he can do. So, you know, he busted up Shavkat, which Shavkat kind of looked like he was untouchable for a little bit there. And Jeff Neal gave him a run for his money. So, but Ian Gary, you know, the hype train, he's been 6-fight win streak. He's that Irish guy who likes to talk. He's definitely confident, but he's had all that outside nonsense going on with the stuff about his wife and all this other shit. And, you know, people just won't let it go. But it's slowed down quite a bit, so maybe that's out of his head at this point. Who knows? But when it comes down to it, it's still a distraction. I mean, if you just look at what happened at the press conference today, I mean, everyone was booing him. So I don't know why. I mean, if you're gonna boo him just for the outside shit, it doesn't matter. He's a damn good fighter, and he's been proving it. And he's been doing pretty damn good, and you know, backing up everything he's saying. So Jeff Neal's a bit of a step up in opponents. I don't know that he's better than Neil Magny, but he's definitely, you know, he's definitely close. So, but Ian Gary with this nasty head kick over D-Rod, Daniel Rodriguez, you know, if he comes out being this Ian Gary, shit, I don't think Jeff Neal has a chance. But if he fights the way he did against Neil Magny, it's going to be a tough one. And we're going to see how tough and how much damage that Ian Gary can handle. So this should be a good fight. My overall pick, though, I have to go with Ian Gary. It's tough to bet against him. Like I said, undefeated. He's on a roll, and unless his last fight is an indication of a downswing, then there's a possibility he loses here, but I'm not sure that he will. So I'm going with Ian Gary in this fight. And I will be going over all of my picks at the end, so stick around for that. Let's move on to another big, exciting fight. Robert Whittaker versus Paulo Costa for the co-main in the middleweight division. You know, Robert Whittaker being a former champion. He's 33 years old, 24-7 overall, 15-5 in the UFC. He's 9-3 in the KO TKO column, 5-1 in submissions, 10-3 in decisions, and he's coming off a loss to Dricus du Plessis. But you know, that was Dricus's first big win on his way to getting the belt. So Robert just wasn't looking like Bobby Knuckles in that fight, but Dricus was fucking fast and accurate, and you know, he showed up. So I'm hoping that that wasn't an indication of what's gonna you know, Robert Whittaker on the downswing, because a lot of times that's what happens after you lose your title after being the champ for a little while. So, you know, he's been kind of back and forth, but you know, he's always fighting top level, you know, opponents. There's no way around it. He's a former champ. So he's fighting Paulo Costa, and Paulo Costa is hasn't fought in a while because he had a nasty injury on his elbow. But it seems like all that's settled and good to go now. So he's 32 years old, 14-2 overall in MMA. 6-2 in the UFC, 11-1 in KO TKOs, 1-0 in submissions, 2-1 in decisions, and he's coming off a win over Luke Rockhold in that crazy fight where he bloodied up Luke Rockhold, and Rockhold laid on top of him and just wiped his blood from his face all over Paulo Costa's face. It was fucking wild, but in the end, Costa won and basically retired Luke Rockhold, because that was Rockhold's last fight in MMA. So, but with Robert Whittaker, you know, he's goddamn good striking. He's accurate. He's fast. Like I said, he's coming off. He's coming off a loss to Dricus du Plessis. Before that, he beat Marvin Vettori, who you see here in this picture, which was a unanimous decision win for Robert. That was back in September 2022. Before that was when he lost to Israel Adesanya, and then he was the champ before. No, that wasn't him being the champ. That was his second. That was his rematch with Izzy, because he went on a 3-fight win streak against Darren Till, Jaron Cannonier, and Kelvin Gastelum to get the title fight again. And but then he lost to Izzy again. And, you know, he's just been kind of back and forth here and there. If you follow the pattern, he's set to win this one. So we'll see how that goes for Robert Whittaker. But I'm a fan. I've liked Whittaker since he was, you know, before he was champ even. He's just one of those guys that stood out to me. So I've been a fan for a while. I like the dude. He's a good guy overall, it seems like. So I'm rooting for him in this one. I don't mind Paulo Costa, but I just don't. He's just not my favorite. So this was in his last fight against. This is in his last fight against Luke Rockhold. As you can see, Luke Rockhold looks battered and beaten, taking that nasty body shot. This just does not make Luke Rockhold look good at all. But Costa's a beast. You know, he's a big dude. He's big for the division. But he went on a 2-fight losing streak against Adesanya and Marvin Vettori. So, but then he won against Luke Rockhold, and then he got that nasty injury in his elbow and hasn't fought since. And that was in 2022. So it's been over a year since he's fought. So we'll see if he has any kind of ring rust or anything like that. But he's going to have to come out strong against Robert Whittaker, because, I mean, Whittaker's just a beast and a badass. So it's going to be a good fight. A lot of people were doubting that Costa was even going to show up, just because, you know, it looks like he has weight issues every once in a while on his when he's not fighting and not in a camp. He looks pretty big. So, but yeah, he's a dangerous fighter. My pick for this one, though, I am sticking with Robert Whittaker. I have to stick with who I'm the fan of in this one. And yeah, I'm thinking Whittaker's going to take this one. I don't know that Costa's ready for someone like Whittaker. So we'll see what happens. Bobby Knuckles for the win on this one. So let's get to the main event to finish this one off. Lancelot's just going off in the chat, so that's cool. Apparently he sees little girls, so that's cool. I'm not sure what he's doing. He just keeps saying the same shit over and over. But anyway, main event, featherweight championship bout. Alexander Volkanovski, the reigning champ, undefeated in the featherweight division, versus Ilya Topuria, who's undefeated as well. Damn it, I did it again. I fucked up on Volkanovski's age. I guess I left the number off. I blame it on the app. That's what happens with Canva sometimes. I don't fucking know. But Volkanovski is he's 35, so people are saying that he's at that age now where he's gonna start dropping fights, especially after getting knocked out against Unsub Dislike. What are you talking about, man? I'm laughing at what you're saying. This shit's funny. I just said you're going off. I'm not sure what you're saying because I can't keep up. You keep going over and over again. It's fine, man. You don't have to sub. It's up to you. I appreciate the interaction. That's all I can say. You're just going off like crazy, so I'm not exactly sure how to respond. You keep saying a lot of the same things. It's funny though, it's entertaining. I'm laughing. So oh man. Anyway, 35 years old. Topuria is talking about how he's old and washed up. But he's got an overall record of 26-3. He's 13-2 in the UFC, 13-2 in TKOs, 3-0 in submissions, and 10-1 in decisions. That is a lot of decision wins. He does go to decision a lot, but the fights are always exciting, always high paced and fun to watch. He is coming off a loss to Islam Makhachev, but before that, he had a win against Yair Rodriguez for his last title defense, which he looked damn impressive in as well. So, but Ilia Topuria is 27 years old. He's 14-0 in MMA, 6-0 in the UFC, 4-0 in KO TKOs, 8-0 in submissions, and 2-0 in decisions. And he's on a six fight win streak. Is that right? In the UFC, yeah, he's 6-0 in the UFC, so he's on a 14 fight win streak because he's undefeated, but in the UFC, I'm just counting 6-0. So, Volkanovski, man, even though he got head kicked, knocked out by Makhachev, I mean, he is a beast. He's undefeated in his division, and he looked damn good against Yair Rodriguez in July of last year in his last title defense. So, it was the first round that he got KO'd, and I mean, what else can you say? He's a fucking legend at the moment. I didn't even like Volk in the beginning, just because I liked Izzy so much, but when it comes down to it, you gotta give Volk his flowers at this point. So many title defenses and so many wins under his belt, and he just couldn't make it happen up in the higher division and to become double champ. So, but I think that he's going to continue winning in this division, in the featherweight division. And Topuria is a badass, but I'm not sure he has what it takes to beat somebody like Volk. But other people have done even crazier things. So when it comes down to it, you never know what can happen here. But I mean, Volkanovski's just fought the best of the best. Yair Rodriguez, Max Holloway, as you see here, the Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega, Max Holloway a few other times, Jose Aldo, Chad Mendes, Darren Elkins. I mean, so many big names that he's fought and won against. So, Volk is definitely the truth for sure. And, he's well-rounded. He's got submissions. He's got grappling, and he's got striking for sure. So, and like I said, a lot of his fights go to decision, but it is what it is. He's an exciting fighter, and his fights are usually well worth watching. So, Volkanovski in a title defense, I mean, he put it on Max Holloway like 3 times, and Max Holloway is a hell of a fighter and a legend as well. So, being the former champ and the kind of damage he can take and stuff, for Volk to still pull through and win every time against him is just saying a lot. So, this should be a good one. But Ilia Topuria being undefeated, like I said, I'm not liking his attitude right now. I'm not liking the cockiness and the being overconfident and stuff. But, you can't deny his talent. You can't deny his abilities. So, I got to give him credit for that. He's undefeated for a reason, and it's not like he's fighting easy fights, but I just don't know that he has the strength of schedule that Volkanovski has had. But Josh Emmett, no joke, but Josh Emmett is a pressure fighter. He comes forward, and Topuria just took advantage of that. Not a lot of footwork and head movement coming from Josh Emmett. And then he beat Bryce Mitchell at his own game. Bryce Mitchell is a great submission artist and a great submission fighter and a ground fighter in general. But he beat Bryce Mitchell by submission, by arm triangle. Let's see, he's got Jai Herbert, Ryan Hall. He knocked out Ryan Hall. Damon Jackson. So, I mean, like I said, he hasn't fought the same kind of guys, the same kind of level that that Volkanovski has fought, but, you know, he's still undefeated. He's still shown and proved his skills. So what is he going to be able to do against Volk? That's the question. He battered and beat Josh Emmett and got the decision win because Josh Emmett is durable as fuck. But he still put the work in on him, and he definitely damaged him. So, you know, he's got what it takes. He does have the skills, but I'm going to have to go with Volkanovski in this one. There's no way around it for me. Volkanovski is the GOAT right now in the is it bantamweight? No, not bantamweight. Featherweight division. So, still undefeated. I don't think it's going to change, but I think it's going to be a tough fight. Probably going to go all 5 rounds. But yeah, that's my pick for that one. Let's get through these overall parlay. I got Roman Kopylov. He's a plus 210 favorite. Merab Dvalishvili, minus 218. Oh, I'm sorry, plus 210 underdog for Kopylov. Minus 218 for Merab Dvalishvili. He's a favorite. Ian Gary, minus 230. He's a favorite. No surprise there. Robert Whittaker, minus 250 favorite. And Alexander Volkanovski, minus 125 favorite. That's my parlay. That's what I'm betting on. Yeah, I think I only put like $8 on it or something, but I mean, I can win a couple hundred, so that's cool. That's what's good about parlays. And, you know, I'm just picking for fun, not spending a ton of money. Let's see if I can get a little bankroll going in the DraftKings bank for myself. Once I start doing that, I might up the ante, up the bets a little bit, but for now we're going low. And I spread out $20 over a few different parlays. We'll see what hits. For now though, this is my official picks for the main event, for the main card. And yeah, that's UFC 298. Don't forget, Saturday during the main card of UFC 298 will be the Watch Party podcast. Hopefully Lancelot didn't take it personal. I wasn't saying I didn't like any of it. I was just saying I can't keep up. He's saying a lot. So anyway, he said unsub, dislike. It's all good. You guys can do what you want to do. I appreciate the interaction in the chat. I'll keep up the best I can, but I still want to keep going with the show. So if you're going off in the chat, it's tough for me to keep up. So, you know, space it out a little bit, and you know, say put like more than 2 words in there so I can follow along and be able to read it. That's all I was saying. No other real criticism. My bad. Anyway, thanks again for the support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the interactions. Someone named Guy was in there that picked Kopylov. Lancelot kind of overtook all that, but it's okay. It is what it is. Don't forget to come back next Thursday for a recap of the Watch Party and of UFC 298 overall. The Watch Party podcast, 8 p.m. Arizona time. It's during the main card of UFC 298, so it's not hard to forget. But like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you remember that we are going live on Saturday again. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks to everyone in the chat. And that's it for me. I'm out. Come back Saturday. The Watch Party is going to be fun. Have a good night. I'm out. Enjoy the fights. Peace.